You know, and I think we may even talked about this last week, and it comes up again. It comes up again. The death penalty for a mother accused of the murder of her children. To me, extremely appropriate. These children, especially JJ, relied upon and trusted 1,000% their mother to take care of them, to protect them, to provide for them. And she's charged with the ultimate betrayal of that trust, that broken trust. To me, a major aggravating factor in addition to all the other ones that will be argued by the prosecution in this case, Al.
Very valid point. Tough to argue on that. As you know, I'm not a proponent of the death penalty, but if I was going to look at a case that I thought was appropriate, it certainly would be a case like this. However, the one thing, Vinny, that is kind of troubling is her mental condition. And that fact that, you know, she was not deemed to be able to stand trial, and now she's suddenly got better and she's able to go forward at that point. Who knows what she was like at the time of the murder of these two kids?
Oh, we kind of know. We kind of know, Al. We know that she was well enough to go to Hawaii to marry the recently widowed Chad Daybell. She was well enough to pick out matching outfits for the ceremony down in Hawaii. She was well enough, Darnell Crosland, to be walking around Hawaii with a bag full of money from insurance proceeds from the tragic death of Tammy Daybell. She was well enough that when police came to her house looking for JJ on a wellness check, she was well enough to then disappear from Idaho. So I don't know what Al's talking about, Darnell.
Well, first of all, the whole competency to stand trial is a big charade. You have these people in Connecticut we call the 5456D. That's a competency evaluation. So if you have any kind of question about your client, you say, Your Honor, I'm asking for an order of 5456D. And all that does is they go and say, do you know your name? Do you know where you live? Do you know what day today is? Can you count to 1 to 5? Oh, ready to go for trial. And so that really means nothing. So the only thing we have in terms of whether she's competent enough is all the things that you just mentioned, Vinny, going around, planning weddings, et cetera. That shows that she's competent, not that little evaluation that they do. So we just have to see where it goes from there.
Jennifer Brandt, your thoughts about this case being the death penalty, worst of the worst. These two accused of murdering his wife. She's also accused of murdering her husband, but that was in Arizona, different state. That won't be part of this trial, but will be a trial in the future. Her brother shot and killed him. Also accused of the murder of children. Her daughter her remains were burnt and placed in the pet cemetery. Little JJ, special needs child who was adopted. I mean, yeah. To me, it doesn't get much worse than, I don't know how it could get worse than this.
I agree with you, Vinny. And the amount of people that are dead in the wake of Chad and Lori. I mean, her husband, his wife, her brother, the children. I mean, it seems like everyone around them disappears or something tragic happens to them. And especially as most troubling are the children, because as you pointed out, I mean, what's worse than a mother killing her own children? A mother is a person that the children should be able to rely on no matter what, and should always be there for them and always there to protect them. And especially these children, especially JJ. I mean, he was special needs. He really was a needy child, a troubled child. And I mean, for her to turn around and do something like this, it seems very cold and calculating. The competency which you raised before, I mean, there are a lot of witnesses that observed her around the time of these murders. Chad's children are coming out and saying things about her, you know, how calculating she was, and other people who were around this couple who I think will be able to testify as to her level of competency and that she totally knew what was going on. So it seems like it was something very well planned between the two of them with the pet cemetery and just everything lines up. It's a troubling case, and one, if there is going to be a case for the death penalty, I mean, it seems like this one is it.
And we've got video from body cameras. We've got audio from phone calls that were recorded, and you can hear where she's coming up with the answers, the excuses. And then the great interview down by our friend at East Idaho News, chasing her down in Hawaii, and she has, and this is at the point where we're still looking for the children. She couldn't be bothered. Al, I've listed some of the aggravating factors that the prosecution is going to argue in this case. I want to put them up on the screen because I think they speak volumes about the allegations here. Murders were committed for remuneration. You talk about insurance money. You're talking about getting other benefits. You've got murders were especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity. Pet cemetery, burnt remains. By the murders or circumstances surrounding their commission, the defendant exhibited utter disregard for human life. I think that goes right along with the prior aggravating factor. The defendant, by her conduct, whether such conduct was before, during, or after the commission of the murders at hand, has exhibited a propensity to commit murders which will probably constitute a continuing threat to society. And this, Al, is where we get to the whole list of people, one after the other. I mean, her brother died under mysterious circumstances. No one's been charged there, but like the day that they're digging Tammy, her new husband's wife who passed away, when they're exhuming her body, that's the day that somehow her brother dies on the toilet. Then she had another prior husband who was the father of Tylee. He died, but that was natural causes also. I mean, so much death, to me, that aggravating factor just like is jumping off the page. That she'd be dangerous if she got out.
Well, she's dangerous because she's part of this, like, she's got this cult mentality. I mean, she's a whack job. I mean, there's no argument that she's nuts. There's no argument that she doesn't deserve to ever see the light of day again, and that she is a danger to the community. I mean, you know, as the Ramones put it, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery, Vin. That's my statement. All
right, Darnell, now here's the other factor here. Maybe I'll go to Jennifer on this one because it's almost more family law.
Vinny, I'm shaking my head here.
What?
To Al.
You're shaking.
I'm shaking my big head to Al. I disagree.
Wait, you like the Ramones?
You disagree?
Yes.
Explain.
He can't say that there's no question that she needs to be put away forever. She's presumed innocent, and you know I'm a proponent of that. I don't care how bad the facts sound. She's presumed innocent. So until the jury comes back with a verdict, don't take that presumption from her. And so that's why I leave it alone.
Well, is the presumption for all of us, or is that just for the jury? Because Al's not going to be on the jury. He does not live in Idaho.
No, that's right. But I want him to be, as a barrister, to not help them take away that presumption of innocence from people. So it looks bad. We'll see where it goes, but she's presumed innocent.
I agree. She's presumed innocent by the jury, but I've seen a lot of this evidence already.
Yeah.
Jennifer, Brandt, let me ask you about the couple that we're looking at right here. They have not been together for 2.5 years in the same room. They've spoken on the phone just before, on the day he got arrested. But are you surprised that the attorneys have not set it up so they would be together in court? There's always a reason why one is there and the other isn't. And I'm wondering if that maybe should tell us something about where they are in their relationship and how this trial may ultimately play out inside the courtroom. The fact that they haven't been together.
Yeah, I mean, Vinny, I think when it comes right down to it, look, these people had multiple marriages, had multiple partners. This wasn't true love.
No, Chad was very traditional. I mean, his world was very, like, he was just a grave digger. He was a working man, raising a family, great kids.
He went off the rails with his views on things and got really extreme, and then ended up with Lori, and his wife disappeared.
I think he became enamored with her because before Tammy passed away, he was making out with Lori over on the BYU campus in East Idaho.
Well, you know, Vinny, I always say it's not one person's going to take away from your marriage. I mean, there was definitely trouble there to begin with. It wasn't just Lori that she was so great or so attractive.
It was definitely just Lori.
But Vinnie, to your question, I see it. I think they're going to turn on each other in court. I don't see them as being aligned. I don't think, the fact that they're not together, I don't really think matters. I think each is going to do what they need to do to protect themselves and try to put on the best defense that they can. And if that means throwing the other one under the bus, so be it. That's the way I would see it, because I just don't see them getting together on this. And I think they have some competing interests for sure. As to what they're going to say about each other. So I don't see them as being a happy couple anymore.
Are you saying there may be a husband number 6 somewhere down the road? Wow.
Could be. You just never know.
We shall see.
It won't be Darnell. I don't think it's going to be.
It won't be Darnell. Are you sure?
No.
Not Darnell.